Hi, Jerry Harms, the hydroponics guy here. Today we're going to talk about Cymbidiums and how they grew throughout the summer. We just brought our Cymbidiums in for the fall, and I want to show you the growth that we had, or what happened when we had them growing outdoors this summer. So there's two things I want to cover first before we start looking at the plants, and that is I want to review plant care with growing Cymbidiums in hydroponics, and then also how we set them up for growing Cymbidiums in hydroponics. So what we have is, of course, we use leca pebbles to grow them in. This is the key. This is the key to the whole thing, the leca pebbles. Now, how they were set up is that this plant right here is in its own grow pot, drilled holes in the side so that you get good air circulation. And then secondly, inside of this pot, it was sitting in this plastic saucer, which is cut down so that any excess water drains away. So the maximum water that this plant was ever sitting in was maybe an inch, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that, which means that when it rained, excess water would drain away. I can water them with a garden hose, excess water will drain away. Very nice setup. And then finally, in my outer pot, I got a couple of rocks in here so the thing doesn't blow over. So that's basically the setup that we have for Cymbidiums for outdoors for the summer. Healthy roots build strong plants. Strong plants produce better flowers. So it all starts with developing good roots. So let's take a look at this and see what we got from the outdoor growing. And this is one of those plants, if you've looked at any of the other videos, that I really hacked this thing apart last spring before I put it outside and got rid of all the old roots and all of that stuff so that we would start over with a new plant. And now let's see what kind of roots we grew out there. Tight in the pot. All right, there we go. And having it being tight in the pot is always a good sign. Oh yeah, this looks good. This looks good. Notice the root structure that we have here. There's no dying or decaying roots, and the reason for that is that these clay pebbles never break down like bark does, or soil or moss or any of that other stuff outdoors. It breaks down and turns to mush, and then the roots turn to mush. We have good, solid, supple roots here, and this is exactly what you want to have happen with your plant growing outdoors. And you can also see how the roots actually adhere to the pebbles. So this has been a pretty successful growing season here with this guy. Next, I want to talk about plant care for growing Cymbidiums in hydroponics for outdoors. And it's really simple. The thing is that if you want to grow Cymbidiums in bloom, they need sun, they need direct sun, and they need the cool temperatures at night. And they really need to be grown outdoors in this climate. I don't think that you can have a successful flowering Cymbidium by growing it indoors. So what my plants were getting was solid direct sun from about 2 o'clock on in the afternoon. I watered them using Dynagrow Grow Formula, the 795 Grow Formula, and I used a half a teaspoon per gallon every time I watered. When they got rained on, and then a couple of times when I would water them with the garden hose, that would flush any excess nutrients out. But that's basically all the plant food that I gave them all summer. I waited until the temperature dropped into the 40s before I brought them in the fall. And so several nights of 40 degrees, that's exactly what they need to get the buds to set. So there's two things about this. One is they need the direct sun to develop the energy to build the flowers. Number two is they need those cold nights to set the buds so they'll flower. So these have been brought in now, and I'm going to keep them on the dry side. I'm going to keep them in a sunny window and keep them as cool as possible. And along about December, January, I'm going to see beautiful flower sprays from these plants.